Yes, there we go. Welcome into the broadcast, everyone. Meteorologist Matt Wintz. It's so good to be back with you guys here tonight. Boy, it was just quite an adventure. Yesterday it was like 1994 with no internet here. Our internet just went down, so we got it all fixed today. We are now on, and you're probably going to notice this, probably not. We are now on a blazing fast Wi-Fi 7 router. So lightning speeds down here. We're at a gig, just did a speed test, so we're there. So there's no problem. So you can see me blink, which is good, rather than just pixelated things. So there's that. Probably should have done some hair or makeup or something like that, but it's not TV. We're good. But anyway, it's really good to be with you. Couple changes here to the broadcast. Notice that right here, your comments are now showing up. That's risky, right? It's a new feature here with our streaming broadcast, so you can see your comments kind of show up. And then we can answer your questions together as we see those. So if you think I've been ignoring you, I can no longer ignore your questions here. So there's that. Some of you I still will ignore. So there's that. And then our family. Oh my goodness! Just a little personal note here. I wasn't able to do Sunday. I've been sick for like a week and a half. Long story short, it was COVID version 3, I think, that or 4 maybe, that I've been on since 2020. But man, not good. I think our son brought it home from school about 2.5 weeks ago, and he had a sore throat, and then I had a sore throat, and Wyatt had a sore throat. And it went from that to this nasty congestion. I couldn't sleep all week. We had the severe weather, so I was getting like 2 hours of sleep per night, which doesn't help your body recover. I'm not a doctor, but I know you need sleep, and I wasn't getting that. And I was just awful last week. I just didn't feel good. Mentally, I didn't feel right either. I feel like, these viruses can play with your brain a little bit too. And then it turned into bad congestion. And then I got pink eye over the last weekend. So it started as pink. And I guess COVID is ending as pink eye for a lot of people because scientifically, I guess it can't, it's having trouble with the vaccines finding its way in. So now it comes in through your eye. It just does anything it can. Something like that. So anyway, so I had pink eye, couldn't open one eye on Saturday morning, and then I went to the other eye, couldn't open the other eye on Sunday morning. I was a mess, y'all. It was so bad. And I had to take Monday off work. I don't call off work if I'm sick, but I mean, I should, but we don't want to burn our PTO days. But man, it was bad. And this has been the year. But I'll tell you, on Wednesday, so Tuesday, I went back to work. Didn't feel great, but it was good enough to work. I'm a workaholic, so I don't like sitting down. But then I'll tell you, Wednesday. So that was what, yesterday. I amazing. And today I feel great too. And we're back now. My wife's getting it, but it's kind of a more mild version of that. So we'll see. We'll see where we go. But this has been quite the year with pneumonia, and we all had influenza A or whatever that was, and then COVID again. So I'm done with it. Can we not be sick? Our whole family, we're like a petri dish here. I guess the more kids you have, the worse it gets. So there's that. So thank you for all the well wishes. I hope you guys are feeling all right. Anyone dealt with COVID recently? Is it going around? I don't know. But hope you guys are doing okay. Obviously, we want you guys to be healthy as well as we get some warmer temperatures around here, can we? All right, let's go through our sponsors real quick, guys. If you need anything done AC related, whether it be a tune-up or maybe your AC is not cooling the way you need it to cool, or maybe you're looking for a whole new system in general, Earls has some unbelievable deals right now. I mean it. You should go to their website or give them a call. EarlsHeating.com. They're the most trusted heating and cooling company in Cherville since 1976. They've been around. They have longevity. Lake Porter County they serve. They do great work. So if you have any AC stuff that you need, go there. If you have an insurance claim, go to publicserviceadjusting.com. They say no to your insurance company. They come out, do all the pictures. They'll deal with your insurance company for you, and they'll get you more money than what you normally get. They do a great job. Publicserviceadjusting.com. Romans Roofing, if you guys are in the need of a new roof, we've had some storm damage the last couple of weeks. They do that with residential and commercial areas or businesses as well. And they do great work. They've got a great web page as well, and they've got a fun Facebook page where they get some work in, but they're also creative, which I like. They're local to Hobart. They service all Northwest Indiana, providing retail and storm restoration options. They do roofing. They also do siding, windows, gutters, get it all. All inspections and estimates are free. So just get them out, see what it costs, and then go from there. RomansRoofing.net, the place to go there. Great Lakes Lighting, make sure that your lighting is the envy of the neighborhood on your landscape and enhances security as well. They do amazing work. He also has a power washing business, which is huge and takes off. But the lighting business is taking off as well. He said because they've got this portfolio of amazing work that they do with exterior lighting on on homes and neighborhoods, and it adds security and it makes your landscaping look good, which you just mulch. So put some lights on it. Place to go there is lightupnwi.com or Great Lakes Lighting on Facebook. Minogue.life, the place to go for your life insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, the world of that. Michael knows that stuff inside and out. You probably signed up for a plan via phone or online and no one explained to you what you have. He can do that for you, and he'll do it for free. He'll sit down for free and chat with you about what your plan has, what benefits you're using, maybe things you're not using in your plan, or maybe you're paying too much for something. He'll help you figure that out. There are no two plans that are like. Minogue.life, place to go. Kate Cusack, she is our home loan lender here in Northwest Indiana. If you need a new house, if you're looking for a dream house, if you're looking for a starter home, she'll get you ready to go in time to get that backyard pool ready at the new place. Make sure you reach out to her as we get into this very, very busy buying season and selling season around here. She is our lender and our mortgage guru here in Northwest Indiana, and everyone loves her. Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage. TigerPlumbing.net, place to go for area plumbers. You know them. They've been around with us for over 3 years now. They're amazing. TigerPlumbing.net if you need any plumbing needs. FBIBuildings.com if you need anything done around pole barn construction or renovation. They do both. They've done over 20,000 of them in the Midwest. They do amazing work as well, and they also have a cool Facebook page, FBIBuildings.com. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They have some great specials right now on the new Jeeps. Heading on out. It's that time of year. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso, right out there on US 30. And finally, T&T Tree Service. Guys, if you got any trees that came down, or maybe you just have a tree that's looking kind of wonky hanging over your house, they'll take care of that stuff. I mean, the last thing you want are wonky trees falling on your power lines this summer with storms. And T&T Tree Service, they do the trickiest jobs safely and with integrity, and they do a great job. They're very professional as well. It's tttreeservice.com, and they've been serving Northwest Indiana for decades with excellence. So there's that. All right, let's say hi to our folks that are on here. We've got Ethan's with us. Hi, Ethan. It's so yucky out there. Why are these troughs so bad? I went deep into the modeling, too. There's no need, Ethan. There's no need to waste your time and go deep into the modeling. This trough's disgusting, and this happens this time of year. This is here's what's interesting about this. This trough that, and Ethan's relying on the trough that I'm showing you here. See how everything's coming at us from the northwest? We've got a double barrel low. So we had two lows that we had. Everything kind of transferred its energy out towards this baby out here. All right, this is a nor'easter right now. If you thought it was bad locally last couple of days with the cool air and the rain, boy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Boston, Nantucket, interior areas of like Hartford, Rhode Island, that bound towards Providence, they're just getting raked right now with heavy rain, strong winds, and nasty temperatures. And this general low, or this trough across the eastern half of the U.S., it happens a lot in the month of May, surprisingly, because that jet stream is present for the month of May, or for month of March and April, and the jet stream's keeping everything moving. That's why we have severe weather often in the country in March and April. And then in May, every now and then, it'll start to relax a little bit more. It's not as strong all the time, and it'll often head up into Canada. And that's what's happened, I think, 3 times this month, where the jet stream kind of relaxes, it goes up into Canada, excuse me, residual COVID, and we're just left with a low that kind of spins off of it and gets stuck, and these lows just get stuck across the eastern half of the country. And that's what we're seeing now, is the low is just stuck. This pattern is stuck. We've got a blocking pattern in place. And so as a result, we get this northwest flow, and you get these clouds that are just locked in. But I wanted to start with this because this is the ugliest looking map that I've seen in the late month of March or May, heading into Memorial Day weekend. I mean, you just don't see a pattern like this. And what's amazing meteorologically with the pattern that we're in, to me, is the longevity of it. Typically, and going back in time and looking at the numbers here in the region, we would have days in May where, you know, we've got 50s and even some low 60s. That's fine for a 4 or 5 day window. Well, the problem is with this is that this one is lasting a while, and we're not going to bounce out of it like that, because typically what we do in May is we'll have 50s and 60s, and then a couple days later we're at like 88, 89, right? Even 90. We typically have our first 90s. And that's not happening. This is going to be a real slow rebound. And so I want to dive into the forecast, kind of starting with that. You can see we've got another layer of lake effect clouds coming across the lake. Can't rule out a pop-up shower with that. How nice was it to see the sun for a little bit today, though? but you could see all this troughiness and all these low pressures, these little vortices out towards the east. All right. So as we go through time, I mentioned in the forecast, I did that 7-day earlier today, and I put in there that I think we're going to have a pop-up shower or two tomorrow. I know the apps aren't saying it. I saw Weather Service was saying mostly sunny earlier. So, I really think that we're going to have a pop-up shower tomorrow. And here's why. There's a little trough coming across the lake, and you can see we've got wind that's going to be trying to get in from the west. It's trying to get that pattern out of here. But we still have this stubborn north-northwest wind here, and that wind is going to butt up against each other. There's not a lot of moisture in place anymore. Most of it's out towards areas of southern Ontario. But I could see, there you go. So models are starting to pick up on it a little bit. But I could see a pop-up downpour tomorrow. I just don't want you to be caught off guard. It's not going to be all day or anything like that. It would be very brief. But I do have it in the forecast, and I had it in the forecast that we posted this morning. So there's that. So there's your chance with that. And then in terms of our Memorial Day weekend, so we're not looking at much rain at all tomorrow, but we are looking at a rain chance. We're going to be kind of in this where the train tracks are, so to speak, where we've got air trying to get in from the northeast, and then we've got this warm, like Memorial Day air mass trying to get in from the southwest. So we're going to find ourselves right in between for like the next week and a half, where everything's kind of battling out over us, as you'll see in excuse me. Typically, you think that means storms, and it really doesn't, or everything's going to be south of us. But I'll show you what I mean here. This is Friday night into Saturday morning. You can see the first in many rounds of complexes of storms down towards Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma will get going. It is going to be so rainy down there. So here's what I mean in terms of the air masses kind of going against each other. All right. This is the zone to watch this time of year right here, where you get these kind of browns and maroon colors meeting up with these brighter reds and oranges, okay? This is essentially where the jet stream is, okay? So we'll go through time, and right now we're stuck between cool air here, okay, jet streams here, and then we've got like a hot air down towards the south and the west. And watch as we go, this battle zone stays right on us. This is Saturday. This is Sunday. This is Monday. Big ridge developing, I get it, but that zone is still right on us. It kind of washes out. Looks like we get real hot around here. It's not the case, but we will get warmer. This is going to get annoying. And then this is next Thursday already. Notice how we have perhaps another trough developing, but you get the idea. There's no ridge that really gets established over us. We stay in this constant kind of battle zone right here all the way through early June, where the hot air is not quite here yet and the cold air is not quite here. We're kind of in between. So that's not a bad place to be. It's really not. And typically, as we get into the month of June, we're seeing that heat really set up over the desert southwest. This is that heat dome that we watch all summer long. You see how that gets established right here? This is typically the desert southwest's hottest time of the year, late May into the month of June before the monsoon season kicks over. A lot of times people freak out, mainly in the media, and they overhype it, and they're saying, Phoenix hit 110 today. Oh my goodness, we're all going to die. And that's not the case. Okay, Phoenix gets hot in the month of May and June. This is pre-moisture, which they get from the monsoon starting in July. And so their hottest readings are typically this time of year. Same thing with like Denver, for example. Denver's snowiest time of the year is typically in the spring, like March into April. They typically get more snow than any time of the year. So you'll see these big headlines like click here, Denver gets blasted with a foot of snow. And you're like, what? It's May. But that happens. So anyway, these are kind of some nuances in weather that will keep you away from the clickbait. But that heat will develop down towards the southwest, and that's the heat we eventually watch roll our way. But it doesn't get here, at least the first week and a half in June. So weather pattern-wise, I want to show you big picture across the country, because we honestly don't have a lot of weather coming our way in terms of big storm chances or anything like that, because we're going to stay in this northwest flow. Okay, the northwest flow is going to keep that Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America or Gulf of whatever. I don't dive into the politics. I just say Gulf now. It keeps the Gulf at bay, and all that moisture gets kind of pushed down to the south. It'll try to get up here, but fronts will continue to kind of shear it off. So as a result, take a look at kind of the pattern here. This is Friday. Okay, here's your Memorial Day weekend. Big complex here. We already saw that. And then here's your Saturday into Sunday. Ton of rain down towards our south. I mean, this is going to be a real soaker and a nasty Memorial Day weekend for folks in Missouri, Arkansas, down towards the Tennessee Valley. There's a lot of folks that are going to get a lot of rain. So we really need to count our blessings in terms of what our weekend looks like, because the weather map is very wet. All right. But we stayed dry through the weekend. I agree with that. But with all this rain down towards the south, we're going to get some clouds off of that. All right, we'll get some high clouds off of those thunderstorms. So it's not going to be completely sunny. In fact, I think we'll have quite a few intervals of clouds this weekend as well. Temperatures will be bouncing back slowly, as we've kind of talked about in some of our posts. And you can see in terms of rainfall, finally some kind of system breaks free Tuesday into Wednesday. It looks like it's going to come kind of in two appendages, where there'll be a low down towards the south and then this like northern appendage. I'm not too worried at this point about severe weather. We do have to keep our eye on any storm system that goes by this time of year for the threat of severe weather. I'm not too concerned about it, though. That heads by. There's just not a lot of organization to it. That heads by, and it looks like to me later next week that the bulk of the action's away from us, but we get into a pattern as we start to continue to warm up. We get into a pattern where we may have some daily pop-ups, all right? We're going to be jumping into that June, July, August, even September at times, where we get those pop-up thunderstorms in the heating of the day when the moisture is right. And it does look like we're going to have some moisture in play later next week, okay? And then we would dry out for a bit. Euro, this is fantasy land, but June 2nd, it brings in a pretty strong front. This could carry a severe threat with it if it were to materialize a little early on that. But that would bring a little shot of some cooler air. And then this right here would be the development of what could be the ring of fire pattern, which is very typical of summer, where that dome of heat tries to get east, and you get these big complexes of storms that develop and kind of go around that. And I could see that pattern starting to develop here that first week of June, all right? But we're not going to waste our time analyzing that too much because, again, that's a week and a half out, all right? But that's kind of what we look like. Temperature-wise, it can only get up or go up from here. Okay, today, I mean, this is what's so unreal about this. Today was anywhere from 20 to 25 degrees below where we should be, okay? And that's, those are high numbers. But it would be the equivalent of us being around 95 degrees for a high, okay? If we had a 95-degree day today, we'd be like, wow, this is crazy. We should be saying that right now about how cold it is, okay? Like, wow, this is crazy cold for this time of year. It's not quite as shocking because we're coming out of cold air, so we just got done with a lot of 50s and 60s last couple months. So I know it's not quite as crazy. This would be crazier if this happened in September or October, right? If we had an air mass like this. And so that's why it's not quite as, weird in our brains. But trust me, this is some really, really below average stuff that we've got. We'll break out of it eventually. I do think these numbers might be just a tad low. Especially as we get into the weekend. I've got it's just a little bit warmer on those days. But you see, we're climbing back up. We do have a little cooler hit next week. That's with that system that kind of glides by with some rain showers. And then we should bounce out of it and get into the 70s and 80s. This is new on the Euro, though, this afternoon. It's picking up on another little hit of some cool air with that front that I showed you that was going to be going by maybe June 3rd and 4th. So that would bring some cooler air with it. But overall, this is not a hot summer pattern, right? We're not diving right in. A lot of times in the spring, we go right from, where it's cool and we're complaining how long it's been cloudy and cool, and then we jump right into it and it's 90 and we're right in the thick of it. I feel like that's happened last couple of years. That's not happening this year, okay? A lot of people, once we get to summer, say, I wish we had a spring. We didn't have a spring. This is our spring continued, all right? 50s, 60s, even some 70s in there. This has been a pretty average spring in terms of that, if not a little touch below average with some of the cooler readings, okay? So that's what we've got there. I've got one more thing to show you. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat for me. I'll start paying attention to the chat. Again, I got a lot of numbers on the screen, but we'll get your questions answered. Excuse me. And then we will get you on your way. All right, this is new as of today. Kind of like doing the Region Weather Live on Thursday nights because we have new drought information from the Drought Monitor. And the Drought Monitor, as we have suspected, has ramped up our drought a little bit. So we are now officially in a drought in Lake Porter, LaPorte counties. This like tan color there, that's a drought category. Yellow is abnormally dry, so it's not technically a drought. But you understand, we've been dry until this recent rain. And then areas of Newton County in a drought as well. That extends down towards Lafayette as well. All right, so here's the dry area of Indiana. This is not good for farmers. We did get some rain over the last few days, which is good. This does not factor that in. I believe this stops factoring in on Tuesday morning. So anything we got after Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Does not count towards this. It'll count towards next week's drought monitor. But you understand, we have dried out. And looking at numbers, we're down anywhere from 1 to 3 inches on the year and on the month. 1 to 2 on the month, but 1 to 3 on the year. So this is something we can make up in a hurry, if we get a couple days of thunderstorms or something like that. But overall, we're going to be dealing with some dry conditions here, especially in the next week and a half or so. There's not a ton of rain coming our way. So I do not see this getting better, at least in the near term. But it's not terrible right now. We can get out of this. But you'll need to be watering, the flower baskets, all this stuff maybe you have in the ground already, which is okay. You need to get those going as well. Okay? And then the last thing I wanted to cover was if there's any frost. I don't see any frost in the forecast. That's good news. So in terms of some of these numbers here, we'll have to keep an eye. Outlying locations Friday and Saturday morning. All right. We'll have to keep an eye on some of those locations. We may have frost outside of like Valpo and Gary and all the areas closer to Chicago. But overall, I'm not seeing a huge risk in terms of stuff that you've got in the ground, having to get it dug up and all that stuff. That's always our fear. So there's that. Okay. All right. Boy, this is great. All right, let's dive in. I'm going to leave you this pretty map. No, I don't want to do that to you. We'll leave you with temperatures. All right, let's answer your questions for you, and then we'll get you on your way here tonight. Hi, Joey. Joey's with us. Gail, thank you very much for that. Lynn says, thank you, man. Hope you start feeling better soon. Thank you very much. I'm feeling a lot better. Let's see. Jacob says, I'm just glad there's no severe weather. Yeah, we get a nice break from that, Jacob. Pretty rough little stretch we went on, right? Deshaun's with us. Hi, Deshaun. Vicky says going to Tennessee this weekend for Memorial Day. How's the weather going to be by Nashville? Rainy, Vicky. Yeah, it looks really rainy down by Nashville this weekend. Let me get you down to the Tennessee Valley here. We'll go Ohio Valley, but we should have Tennessee on here. So here we go. Here's your Memorial Day weekend. There's a big complex of storms that'll roll in Friday night, Saturday morning, and then that feeds kind of additional complexes of storms as a frontal boundary stalls there Sunday. It doesn't look good. And then Monday, I don't know what time you're heading back, but Monday looks rainy too. So there's that. Yeah, deep south is going to get a lot of rain. In fact, let me show you some of the totals here that the models are putting out. I mean, this is impressive stuff, right? This is all the way through Tuesday. This is just through Tuesday. Oh boy, this cough is going to take over. This is through Tuesday. Widespread 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain from Tennessee, including Nashville. Looks like 2 to 3 there, all the way back into Kansas. I mean, good news for some of the drought concerns they've had there, but most of the drought in the Midwest is actually back here, like western Kansas, western Texas, Oklahoma as well. I'll show you that. Let's go back to the national. So here's your national drought. And you can see these are the areas that are going to be getting rain down here. They really don't need it, all right? Most of the drought is back here in Nebraska, Kansas, and then real bad drought still in western Texas. What we need is a good monsoon season out west, which Mother Nature tends to balance things out, so we'll probably get that. We need a good monsoon season, or we could use a tropical system, which is the displacement of real heavy moisture, right? We could use some kind of tropical system to come into Texas and kind of come this route where it's coming into like Houston and it heads inland and just soaks areas of southwestern Texas. So that's really what we're going to be looking for. But the monsoon season needs to get going. That's how all these areas that are in drought out here get rain, is that monsoon. And that kicks in typically in the month of June. It'll really ramp up July and August, though, out west. So there's that. Whoa, Deshaun, watch out. Deshaun says, I was featured in the Northwest Indiana Times this week. Congratulations, Deshaun. What? Do you mind me asking what it was for? That's awesome, buddy. That's great. So there's great. Let's see. Ethan says, are you expecting a cooler summer? No, Ethan, I'm not getting into it. Direct weather can forecast that. Yeah, and that's great. Again, Ethan, you know me well enough to know my long-term forecasting. I don't do it. I just don't do it because it's wrong half the time, and there's no way to check it. I can say, oh, cooler than average summer, and we still have 3 weeks in the 90s and 95-degree range, and you're like, that wasn't a cool summer. I'm like, well, look at the average. It's 0.1 below. I hate long-term forecasting. I really do. It doesn't. It's kind of like a fortune teller. When you go to a fortune teller and they're so vague in what they're saying, there is some science behind it. I get it. It doesn't help me, and I don't think it helps people in general, unless you're a long-term like business planner, someone who's trying to forecast how many sweaters you need to send to areas of the country, or farmers in general when they're figuring out what kind of stuff to get, what they're going to need for the whole season in terms of water supplies, all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, I don't think we have too many of those people on here, and that is not my specialty, long-term forecasting. So there's that. Yeah, it really is, Ethan. It can get pretty bad. We've got a ways to go. Hurricane forecasting, we've got a ways to go as well. So there's that. Yeah, Jacob, that dust storm was nuts, right? So we covered it on our page. We had a post on there, but I'm just going to tell you, that dust storm was nuts, and that was the first time in my career that I ever saw a dust storm warning locally, right? So we had a big complex of storms rolling through downstate, and remember, storms, especially when you had the complex that we had, bring a lot of wind with it, and so in that case, there was a line of storms. It had a gust of wind that was coming down with it, and that wind was going out from the complex of storms, and there was a chunk of it that was coming north. And so that wind off those storms, that gusty wind, went over farm fields down to the south that had just recently been plowed and probably planted as well. I don't know if it was soy or what it was, but it picked up that dust, and boy, did it roll it north. I mean, it didn't take much, but I mean, these farm fields, we're talking acres and acres of just dirt and dust, and that's what it picked up. And it happened to be dry enough where we didn't just have heavy rain across the farm fields. The heavy rain was south of there, and so the farm fields were dry enough. They picked up that dust, and boy, we got it all. We got it all. And that is what that's like the third dust storm this season, or area of dust that we've had to deal with. The other two were from down in Texas and New Mexico, but what's with all that dust this year, right? Well, I can tell you, this drought's not helping. I mean, especially this drought down here, and then some of the drought here locally not helping. So there's that. Oh, Deshaun, that's awesome. Proud of you. That's so cool. Rhonda, thank you very much. Yeah, we're on the mend. I feel so much better. I really do. So there's that. Vicky, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Let's see. So Ethan says severe weather picks up by early June. Yeah, I think so, Ethan. I think we're getting close to that pattern. I mean, we're going to see that heat really build out west, and then we would see, subsequently we get some kind of cold front that tries to get in, and that would set that boundary, and that boundary get firing up. It doesn't look like in July we can tend to get into a longer pattern where we have those explosive storms, and we get stuck in that pattern for like 5 or 6 days. I don't see it sticking around too long. But we may pick up a day or two of some MCSs coming through the Midwest. So there's that. Yeah, Maxwell, that's so true. Yeah, this is exactly the pattern that we got in over the winter, and it does feel like it, and it's amazing. We're carrying it over to right now. It's just I'm amazed to see the pattern that we're in have this kind of longevity to it. I mean, really, this time of year. I mean, typically we'll get it for a couple days, it's out of here, and then we're back to the heat. But this is persistent. It really is. If this was wintertime, we would be in trouble right now. Not only would we have Arctic outbreaks, but we'd have a lot of lake effect snow coming across those lakes. So there's that. There's that. All right. Okay. I think I answered all your questions. So there's that. All right, guys. I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join me. Thanks for being patient, too, with the broadcast. I know you're not sitting around like, oh, I wish Matt would do a broadcast, but I do want to bring them to you regularly on Sundays and Wednesdays. I don't want you to have to adjust schedules just to watch a broadcast about weather. So I'm respectful of your time as well. So I do appreciate you kind of flexing with me here with the sickness the last couple weeks. Okay. All right. You guys have a wonderful night. I'm going to get some sleep. You should too. All right. It's kind of, that weather. It's okay to go to bed. And then we're going to start to warm up for your Memorial Day weekend, which is good news. And at least we'll dry out. That's some good news. Okay. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. We'll keep you updated online and on regionweather.com and on the radio side of things too. Okay. All right.